Thank you, everybody, for coming. I think we're going to have, given the number of registrations we had for this site, including another volunteer of mine who has not shown up yet, I anticipate some more people are going to be threading in over the next 15 minutes or so, but we'll just go ahead and get started. The good stuff is 15 minutes in anyway. So before I get into the main topic of the presentation, I want to give a little bit about me and Bainbridge Repairs. Most, maybe not all of you know about Bainbridge Repairs. We are a 501c3 there. That's our logo on the left, or one of our logos, in core partnership with the City of Bainbridge and the Bainbridge Island Fire Department. I am Loren. I'm the executive director, and if you want to learn more about us, just visit our website or go to Facebook and various other things. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about. I'm not going to fully read through these, but these are the chunks of the presentation. So, feel free to ask questions at any time, but just know that if you're, there's going to be various little things threaded through the presentation, but that's the general roadmap that we're going to follow. Okay, so why are we giving this presentation? So I struggled with this question, and essentially, we are more known as the disaster preparedness, disaster response nonprofit. But there is a large chunk of emergency management that is devoted to cybersecurity, because whether or not your building is flooded or somebody, just a tornado hits it, or you're a victim of cybercrime, essentially, money is going out the door that you would rather keep. So, a lot of times and more often, cybercrime and cyber threats can be more damaging, or at least damaging more often than natural threats. And I see this, and the data supports it. That's just going to keep going up. It's basically, it was bad, it's going to get worse. I think we're all kind of reflecting on it via the emails we get, the text messages we get, and the news stories out there. And I'm going to blend the next two bullets. I had multiple conversations with the library and some of our partners, the Senior Center and Island Volunteer Caregivers, about is this void being filled adequately? There are resources out there, and we're going to get to that later in the presentation, but does it match the scale of the problem? And essentially, especially in some of the demographic that we have on Bainbridge Island, which is, it skews older. A lot of the scams can hit, elders and that sort of thing. And so essentially, we all agreed that there is a void. If we can fill it, we're going to try to fill it. And you guys can be the judge of that tonight. So, okay. So let's get into recent local commercial examples. And again, you're going to chime in at any time. But who was affected by the Common Spirit ransomware attack that basically shut down all the electronic health records for St. Michael's and the Harrison side of the medical system? Anybody affected by that? He was? Okay. Year and a half, 2 years ago? Okay. I just grabbed I don't even know if it was the latest article. I don't know if that number went up, that $160 million number went up, but I just remember what kind of a strain that cyber tech put on all the hospitals in the Common Spirit network in Washington State and elsewhere, and then our own clinics. Our Virginia Mason clinic wasn't effective by chance, because they had not integrated one side of electronic health records with another side. So the side that was affected got ransomwared, and Virginia Mason was able to limp along with the separate, just by accident. They never, married those projects together, but they're working on that. But it was a big deal for Common Spirit. Seattle Public Library, how many months was that down? About 6. Yeah. Yep. And I mean, you can look at any news story right now about all the data breaches, and those data breaches, that ransomware can be an employee gets fooled, clicks on the wrong thing, answers the wrong phone call, and boom, $160 million of that corporation then goes out the door.
What's ransomware mean?
So ransomware is, we are going to lock down your systems, we're going to blackmail you, like we're going to expose all this data unless you pay us $5 million, $100 million. So you're basically holding them ransom. And one of the things we're going to get into is all the types of scams out there. And actually, I'm going to go. I'm going to pause on that point. But we're going to get back to the types of scams in a little bit. So I'll start off with, who's been a victim of a scam? Okay. I have. Okay. Did you feel good?
No.
No?
Awful.
Why didn't you feel good?
That was a lot of money.
Yeah. Yep. So a lot of times, and I'm gonna be hitting on this theme throughout the presentation. A lot of people feel like I did something wrong. I should have recognized that this email was wrong, or I should have checked my credit cards more often, or whatever, and just recognize that if you were, carjacked, on the highway, you wouldn't necessarily feel like you did something wrong. But in this case, because they fooled you, or they got access to your computer or your phone or something like that, you just feel like, what did I do wrong? I should have known better. And essentially, we have to get rid of that stigma because, again, I've been a victim. Some of you are smart in here, I'm sure. We've been victims. And I just, there should be no embarrassment. Okay, so when I first started putting this presentation together, I started looking at all the scams out there, and they all have different names. There's ransomware, there's phishing, there's general spam, there's essentially, there's almost a new name a month of a scam that is out there. And when we can, I'm happy to basically, to my knowledge, to my limited knowledge about, like, oh, what is that scam named after? This rock star or this flavor of Skittles or whatever. I can try to answer those questions, but there's so many out there that it becomes tough to kind of keep track. But one of the things that I recognize were common ingredients of cyber scams are things that I wanted to go over today so that no matter what the next flavor of scam is, you can recognize the ingredients. So it's like, your favorite Mexican food or whatever. It's got some of the same ingredients. It's got the refried beans, it's got the tortillas, it's got the rice, but they may be different proportions. Some ingredients are left out over time. So wanted to basically touch on maybe the three most urgent ones, or the three biggest ones, and kind of go into them at depth. All right, one of the easiest ones is urgency. Okay? Your life is going to be so bad if you don't act on this in the next 4 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours, or whatever. And essentially, that bomb is going to go off unless you act, okay? And your brain's scrambled. You're like, tell me what to do, right? And so there's a couple of example scams out there. How many, in the news this week, how many have gotten the toll scams? Okay. Oh, boy. Yep. And it's like, oh, you don't pay this? It's just going to go up. So you got to get on this. You got to, your driving's horrible. You got to get the good to go, paid or whatever. Obviously, WashStat has done some messaging about, no, don't click on those things. But they catch a lot of people. Not all scams have this ingredient. So how many of you have heard of pig butchering? Yeah, pretty much everybody. That's more of a slow burn. It's sort of like I'll get into that in a little bit, but it's more of a there's a building trust component of that scam versus you have to act right now. Okay, ingredient 2 is relevancy. So contains something that you're familiar with or that's on your mind. So I'm kind of giving away the answer here, but what's coming up in the U.S.? Taxes. Easter's coming up. Somebody just, won the Super Bowl. Could be your birthday. Could be something where something's on your mind. Usually these scams are more, around national holidays or whatever, where it's just like, oh, we know that a lot of people are going to be getting Christmas gifts or going somewhere for Thanksgiving or something like that. And so, if you're maybe like, oh, I haven't heard from Aunt Edna in a while. I don't know why she's sending me a Christmas letter. But hey, I'll sign for it. I'll accept, I just have to pay the shipping. Okay, it's Christmas. So of course I should expect that. And again, it could be geographical connections, like anything. So the geographical connections, I'll go back to the tolls. How many of you recognize the 312 area code? Chicago area. So essentially for us, the 206, the 425, the 360 numbers, the scammers know that's the good to go system, right? So in Illinois, I forget what the toll system is there. In Maryland, it's something else, and it's tied to your area code, your phone. So those scammers can just basically say, I'm gonna start calling down, texting every number after 206 000 -00, and just keep going down the list. I don't care who I get, because this is a big net that I'm just pulling in the salmon. And if a couple, if most of them get away, I don't care. I just need to grab a few to make that 0.0001 cent that it cost me to send that text to that number is worth it, because I got enough conversion of people paying that $40 toll to make it all worth it. All right, but we're going to spend a little bit more time on trust building. So the bigger scams often know something about you and need a little bit more info to get exactly what they need. So they they're really looking for your wire, your bank wire numbers or your credit card numbers or something else, because they don't care that you're a Pisces. They care about your dollars. And so, but to build that up, they need to they know some puzzle pieces about you, but they got to fill that puzzle in. And this info can be used both to impersonate you or to impersonate someone or something that you know. All right, so I'm going to get the crowd a little bit more involved here. What info makes you you? So like if your bank called you and said, hey, we need to verify some information about, no, you won't answer, Liz? Okay.
No, they're not supposed to call us.
Okay, no, very fair. Very fair, very fair. We're going to get to that. But what would you expect your bank or your spouse or whatever, or some trusted institution to know about you?
What makes me me is my name.
Okay, so you get your name?
Mother's maiden name.
Mother's maiden name? Date of birth? Address?
Last 4 digits.
Okay, your social security number? Yep. I have my other volunteer here. Ah, she's lucky. Okay, you got to sit up here, Joanne. Okay, so I heard a lot of this mentioned. So your name, your maiden name or your mother's maiden name, right? Right? Your birth date, your birthplace, your current address, your previous addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, passwords, parents and siblings, spouse and marriage dates, schools. You can read it there, and then of course, that's the big whale. They want you don't want that. Okay, okay. So I mentioned I had some volunteers here, and they happened to be sitting together. I was trying to get to 4 volunteers. I ran out of time. So anyway, so what I'm handing them is, I think I spent about 20 minutes on Joanne and about 12 on you, Sheila, because I was running out of time. But So let's go through this. You're welcome to open up those pamphlets. Again, mine is in chicken scratch, Sheila. So basically, I'm walking through what I did with them. Again, Joanne was about 20 minutes. Sheila was 12. How much of this information was I able to get on you? Did I get your birthplace right, Sheila?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Your maiden name, Joanne?
Yes.
Okay.
Maiden name,
Yep. Spouses?
middle name.
Yep, I got your middle name. You try to keep that quiet, I think. Anyway, bunch of addresses. I missed phone numbers because I needed that second minute and that extra minute. Employers, caught a few of those. Schools,
Yep.
right? Okay. Yep.
You were searching for these things?
Yeah, so I reached out to volunteers specifically, and I was like, I'm going to spend a little bit of time looking for personal information about you. Online, right? And I was trying to pick, so unfortunately or fortunately, I know Joanne a little bit better than I would have preferred because I was trying to kind of pick people that I was like, all I have on you is a name, and that you reside maybe on Bainbridge Island. Joanne, I grabbed her first, though, because I was like, okay, she was the first person to sign up for this, and I was like, all right, I got to start somewhere. But Sheila, we don't interact as much. You've never had me over for Thanksgiving dinner, as far as I know? Okay.
But I will.
Oh, lovely, lovely. But when you volunteered, I was like, okay, Sheila and I aren't as familiar with each other. Let's see what I can grab about her. I didn't want someone to say, oh, you're Facebook friends, so that's how you know about her. I was like, yep. I was like, okay. So thank you, Sheila. I was trying to get 2 other people, and I ran out of time. I needed that extra 40 minutes to get you, Gary, and to get you, Eileen.
And I will say that I'm not a social media user. I am not a huge social media. I don't post things very often.
Yep.
Really nothing.
Yep.
You know, so I do not. But you got a lot of information.
Yep.
Yeah, this is.
Okay. Yes. Oh, and Sheila, I know it's been a few weeks, but happy birthday. Okay. Happy birth month. Yes. I'm 2 days after you, if that makes you feel any
And
better.
that's why you mentioned Pisces, right?
Yes. That is. Hey! Yes.
We know a lot about you.
Okay. Okay. So let me grab those back from you. Okay. Because and anyway, yearbook picture from Joanne. Yep. Yep. It's beautiful. All right. We want to protect this information, right? They're safe. Okay? I mean, you know.
We don't open our mouths.
Okay. Or are they? Okay. So I just, I basically, again, it took me 12 minutes on you, it took me about 20 on Joanne. Joanne can pull that hammer out of her purse that she carries around and crush my computer, and all I would need to basically recreate that is 30 minutes, a Red Bull, and any of the computers out there, and basically pick any of you out there and say, all right, let's see what juice I can get on you, okay? And I got a day job, right? I don't think about this all the time. It's just a matter of, this is how easy it is to get this information. And I'm gonna go into a couple of ways that I was able to get this. Not all of them, but I'm happy to talk about all of them. It's just a matter of that this presentation would go, a little bit too long. But, so, are they gonna be able to basically scrub Sheila's birth date from the web or Joanne's employers or her spouse or whatever? Nope, right? It is that information, again, about everybody, me included, is out there. for the most part, and I'm going to get into the more later. So, what else? Okay, what else makes you you? Let's say in a digital sense, right? Okay, what you look like and what you sound like. Okay, so thank you to the volunteers. They just ran, like whatever, easy Google search. You know, we have our librarian back there, Tressa, who's helping host this. I could have done this with anybody of you, you know, found some pictures of you. It's all out there, right? Okay. But now we got a new thing we got to worry about. So I just scratched an itch last month. I'm like, how easy is it to basically clone a voice, right? So I want somebody to tell me who this might be.
Loren, I was arrested for stealing bananas. As you know, bananas have become incredibly expensive, and so I just had to do it. Anyway, the Bainbridge Island Police Department is demanding 1,000 in Bitcoin to release me. We're such old friends. I need your help. Please email the Bitcoin to roundaboutsarevil@gmail.com.
Okay, I heard a couple people. Who was that? Reed Price. For those that don't know, who's Reed Price? Senior Center. Yep. Okay. So essentially, again, I woke up one morning and I'm like, let me see. And again, just because I recently talked to Reed, I'm like, let me see how easy this is. And it took me less than 20 minutes to generate that. Okay? He never said that. He never spoke those words. It took me 20 minutes to recreate that. You tell me what you want Reed to say. I'll make him say it. Okay? Okay. So then I have lunch with our wonderful cameraman here. And I tell him what I did. I'm like, it took me 20 minutes, right, to do Reed. So later that day, I get an email from him. This took me 10.
Loren, I was arrested
nope.
for stealing the Bainbridge Island Police Department.
Sorry. Here we go.
Oh, no. Reed, I'm so sorry you got caught stealing bananas. No judgment here. I have to admit, I really don't deal much with crypto, but I will make sure to get that 1,000 crypto to that police account. It seems totally legit. I'd be sure to avoid making in-person contact with anyone at the police.
Okay. So took him 10. Could have spent more time. I think it's a little bit shoddy. I mean, I have much better presentation voice than I think you were able to accurately, but it might fool some people. I don't know. But you gave it a good try. You know, okay. His first time, my first time. Okay. Okay.
Oh,
sorry.
no. Reed, I'm so sorry. I have to admit,
I don't want to hear myself anymore. Okay. So let's take what we've put together and let's build a scam. And I'm going to basically make that scam a little bit relevant to what our core is, a disaster space. Okay, so we're going to pick some actors here, okay? One is, I didn't want to basically pick a Maui resident without permission, so let's pretend that there is a Mary Rice-child that lives in Maui. But the second person, James Barrows, and I won't get tripped up with the slides to basically introduce him, but you can listen to his name. He's a real person, and he is with Hawaii Emergency Management. So listen to him really quickly.
To the recovery phase for Lahaina.
This is an interview that he was doing on a Maui news chasing. I'm not going to go in.
Early on, we had to learn a lot.
So you can't see it, but basically it's just him giving an interview.
If it was just debris from a tsunami.
Okay. Good enough for a sample. Okay. So imagine you're Mary. Again, you're a Maui resident. It's maybe 3 weeks post the wildfires that happened. And let's say you get this phone call. You get this voicemail,
Hello, Mary. This is James Barros with Hawaii Emergency Management. Aloha. I'm calling because we're trying to send you a check for $700 in FEMA-approved emergency funds as a result of the devastating fires. We're so sorry. The fires were tragic, but we are a strong community and we will come together and rebuild. Anyway, to provide you the funds, we need you to call back as soon as possible to verify your information. We have your address at 906 Kana Place and the first 3 digits of your social security number as 628. But we need you to call back and give us the last 4 digits of your social to verify we have the right information and that, it's actually you that will be sending that money to. Please call very soon. We don't know how long the FEMA funding will be available. We're hearing that the fund may close in the next 24 hours, so timing is critical. Okay, if you don't reach me directly at 808-555-2423, then just leave me a voicemail with your name and the last 4 digits of your social. As you can imagine, we are very busy here, so I may be on another line when you call back. Again, 808-555-2423. Mahalo, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, so help identify the ingredients of this scam. Okay, so let's start with the first ingredients. So please call very soon, 24 hours. Urgency. We want to get you this money, but someone else is going to get it, or FEMA is going to yank it, right? The relevancy. So you live in Maui. James Barros, he's a real person, right? You Google James Barros, he is actually the Hawaii emergency manager, right? That is his official Hawaii emergency picture. Okay? Aloha, mahalo, the 808 Hawaii area code, right? All relevant. Oh, I recognize this. It's got to be. There's some legitimacy to this, right? Oh, I think I saw him on the news 2 days ago. Yeah, he's a real person. Okay, and now it gets into the PII, the personally, identifiable information. He knows your name, right? He knows your address. Fake name, real address in Maui. Knows your first 3, and we'll get to that. Okay? And again, all the, but needs that, he just needs that last four, because he wants to send you this money. You want to help him, right? Okay.
And she's desperate.
She may be, or it's just yeah. Oh, yeah, and then, how many of you, in North Carolina, the hurricanes and stuff like that, the $700 is kind of that magic number. Everybody heard about that, FEMA had $700 and didn't have it. Anyway, so all relevant, right? All these are kind of hitting the right, mechanisms for you to basically respond. Okay.
Hello, Mary. This
sorry.
is James Barros.
Okay, so who's the victim here? Who said and James? Because you win. Yes, because Mary, if she calls back and gives the last 4 of her social, basically that was what they needed to get that money. But James and Hawaii Emergency Management are being impersonated. Their name's being tarnished, right? So you got 2 victims. James may not be losing money. Hawaii Emergency Management may not be losing money, but they're losing reputation, and they're basically being unwitting participants in this scam. So a lot of times there's more than one victim, one worse than the other, but when you've got a robocaller that's going to every resident in Lahaina, that brand tarnishing of James, that reputational tarnish of James adds up, right? So it's a lot of victims in this. Okay, so some questions about where did I get this info, right? It's easy. It is easy. Okay, names, phone numbers, birth dates, Google, right? It's not all Google, but that gets you that little first piece of the puzzle, right? Because then once you get that little the first piece of the puzzle, then you're like, okay, then I have enough to basically get this other piece. And then, ooh, I got 2 pieces, I can get this third. Genealogy records, really easy. Census records, birth certificates, marriage certificates, all publicly available. A lot of it gets aggregated via Ancestry.com. Anybody build a family tree? Okay. And it's just like, I learned so much. I'm like, I didn't know they were on that boat. You know, my great-grandparents, I was like, oh, that's where they went to Ellis Island or whatever. And I learned the last couple of months, I was like, oh, I had a cousin who was stillborn. I never knew. You know, I'm 50. I never knew I had a stillborn cousin. But it was on census records. It's on, you know, birth certificates. It's in yearbooks. It's all this, all basically in one spot. And then there's Facebook. We're going to get into other stuff, but then there's Facebook, where we are willingly kind of giving a whole bunch of information out. Your pets, the time you ran at the marathon, the vacation you took to Vegas or whatever. This is all just information you're feeding out there, okay? That, again, they need this one little puzzle piece. Okay, you know, and then start building the rest of the puzzle with them. Okay, let's keep going. Neighbors, property info. Anybody look at the county? Okay, Kari's in the back there saying, yep, county parcel maps. Neil introduced me to them a little bit more. There was a neighbor on our street. I didn't know what their name was. Eileen and Liz are here. And I was like, what's his name? You know, and so go to county parcel maps. You can find out how long he's lived there. You can basically, you know, click on you drive by a nice house, want to know when it was built, who lives there, what it last sold for, county parcel maps, boom. You want to see pictures of the outside, county parcel maps, right? And so essentially, you can build an outline of all the neighbors around the house. You can, you know, assuming those neighbors own a home, but, you know, it's a matter of, okay, you may not know a renter, but there's other ways to find out who rents if you know the landlord. Okay, so Social Security numbers. Okay, so who here was born? Let's see. Let's go through this. In anybody here born in Alaska? Okay. Is that the first 3 of your social? Okay. Thank you for coming. I was hoping, I was like going through this, I was like, oh, no one's going to be here from Wyoming. Okay, anybody here from Wyoming? Anybody here born in Wyoming, I should say? Okay. No, what's that? Okay. Montana? Okay. 516, 517? Okay. Nevada? Anybody?
So they're generated by the state you're born.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to show you the list in a second. Last 2, New Mexico. Okay, 525. Okay. Hawaii, we just did Hawaii. Anybody? Oh, 575 or 576? Thank you, you guys are wonderful. Okay, so it's a little bit hard to read, but up until 2011, all states basically had the same, essentially had a range of numbers that they would issue Social Securities on. So first 3, okay? So how many people born in Washington here? 1, okay. You somewhere between 531 and 539, your first 3? Okay. So I was lucky enough to be born in California, so I got a large range there. So, but you go to a smaller state or a territory or whatever, and you know your Northern Mariana Islands, you are 586, right? And sometimes it's like, okay, Vermont, you got 2, 008 or 009. A scammer basically has a 50-50 chance of being right? Okay, that's the first 3. Then the second 2 also has a scheme, not as structured as this. So before I move on to that, Social Security Administration started to figure out like, these are important numbers. We got to mix this up a little bit. So anybody here born after 2011? Okay, I think somebody in the back. You look a little young. Yeah, but so essentially, this got randomized after 2011. But everybody before that was born in the U.S., there's some little caveats and exceptions, but 98% of the people that fit into this scheme that were born in the U.S. And so now for some of the smaller states, I like to pick on Wyoming. There's only so many babies born in Wyoming every year. So Wyoming, where is it here? 520, right? They got four digits at the end to work with. They don't need a lot of the second two, right? So basically they're like, you can cut us off after 20. For this year, like for 2002, we don't need more than, basically we don't need anything beyond 0 and 12 for the second two numbers. And so basically all that was published as well in the attempt to do for merchants to do Social Security verification. So essentially, nobody in Wyoming had a number after, like the digits after 30, let's just say, almost the entire, span of Social Security numbers, because there just weren't enough kids born. Yep.
My sisters and I were not born in the same state, but we all have the same first three numbers.
Okay. Well, it's a matter of, I told you there's some caveats where it's essentially if a hospital kind of mailed your birth certificate to a Social Security office in another state to basically generate that. So sometimes the hospital you're born in will basically automatically, like that is where your Social Security number is set up. If that was, let's say you're on a border, right? You were born in Maryland, but or born in D.C. and a Maryland Social Security office took care of your birth certificate or your Social Security thing. It gets a little, jumbled. But again, it's one of those things where 95% of the time, I actually don't know, I'm making that number up, but most of the time, it's like it kind of fits into this scheme here. So, again, if a scammer knows that, they're going to target everybody from New Mexico, they know you're born in Mexico, they can build rapport with you because I'm calling from your bank. I already know what your first three is. I just need a little bit of extra in your Social Security number. Okay. So how about voice? Somebody asked, how did I do the voice cloning? How much spoken audio is typically needed to clone a voice? What's that? Sentence or two? Okay. About 10 seconds. Okay. So we're recording this. Sheila's been nice and chatty up front. In the back, I haven't heard much from you. I love your sweater. Can you tell me where you got it from? And speak up so we can all hear you.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I'm talking to you.
No, I've had it for many years. I don't know where I got it. And I like shopping.
That'll be good enough. Okay, wonderful. Okay. Yes, that's how easy it is. I basically, when I was doing Read, I gave him like 1 minute and 40 seconds of audio. But you've ever done if you're on YouTube anywhere or did an interview anywhere, like if your voice is digitized in any way, like you can be cloned, okay? Your friends can be cloned, your sister, your whatever, that voice can be cloned. I'm going to take a moment and say, Joanne shared with me a story of another executive director. Do you want to say a little bit more? And I'm not going to clone your voice, Joanne. Okay.
An executive director on the island, I won't say who it is. She has a daughter, and the daughter called her one day and said, Mom, I'm here in New York, and I'm really, I'm in a bad spot. I really need you to send me some money. I'm afraid, blah, 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 blah. and sounded exactly like her daughter. You know, it was not her daughter. She had the good sense to just hang up and say, okay. And she called her daughter, and her daughter said, what are you talking about, Mom? But that's the story.
Yep.
So it actually happened.
Yep.
So you can't have a conversation with an AI, you just have to have dissertation, right?
So no, let me make sure I'm interpreting your question properly. The question is if you can have a conversation with AI or just kind of one blurb. Is that what the gist of your?
Your person challenged her mother.
Yep. So I'm almost certain I can verbally chat with you as Reed Price, the executive director of the senior center. It might take me a little while. I might need to type in like, Reed, why are you taking so long to respond to my questions? And it's like, I'm trying to type up the response. The AI is getting better where basically you can do kind of the dubbing. I haven't actually tested the dubbing out, but I can have a conversation with you and then over the speakers sound like Reed or sound like Joanne or whatever. I'm pretty sure that the cloning is good enough for that level, which is why you may not get the overseas call centers anymore, where it's like, is your name really James? But it's getting better so that person that says they're James sounds like a cowboy from Dallas, even though that's not really where they're from. Yep.
Are they able to clone your voice over the phone when they call? Because I've always heard if you say hello or you say yes in a certain way or something, they're...
Yep. If you leave hi, my name's Loren. I missed your call. I'm really sorry. Please leave me a voicemail and I will get back to you. Whatever. Count the number of seconds. 6 seconds. Good enough, right? Okay. So, kind of reiterate the point, like, basically, right now we're in the Mad Libs side of scams, right? It's just sort of like ingredient, or whatever, and so I don't know what the next, scam is going to be. But as long as you start to recognize the ingredients, you're like, I think this is a scam, right? I think this is a scam. Okay. So, where are these scams originating from? They can be anywhere, but a lot of the activity is Russia, Myanmar, Cambodia, China, North Korea. It really, it's easy enough. It could be anywhere, but that's sort of the hotbeds of it. So I'll pick on Myanmar for a little bit, and this is just a story from a month ago about Myanmar and Cambodia and stuff. So Myanmar is a somewhat failed state, right? It's in the middle of a civil war. And so you have a scam operation, let's say 5 ringleaders and then 500, employees or slaves or whatever you want to call it. Make the deal with the warlord and say, look, let us set up camp in this, give us power, give us internet or whatever. We will pay you 10% of whatever of our earnings. Just leave us, fight your war, fight your civil war. Just leave us alone, right? Because we're going to make you money. Okay, so you are scammed. You get the information. You're like, oh, I found it. The guy's in St. Petersburg, Russia. The guy's in Cambodia. I'm going to tell Chief Clark with BIPD to go and arrest him, right? Okay, we're going to get into what you should do, and you should tell BIPD, but it's a matter of, it is free money. It is so much easier to do and less risk than drug smuggling, than, property theft. It's like you have a scammer that can do 100 calls a day or whatever. They don't need, maybe 5% of them need to work. That's good money. That's good money. Almost no risk to them. Okay, so that's why basically this type of crime is going like this. Okay, so what can you do? I'm going to go through a couple steps. Google yourself. Understand what pieces you're like, "Oh, I didn't know they knew that about me," right? You're going to find phone numbers. You're going to find, that 5K you ran, 10 years ago, you placed 80th in or whatever. You're going to find a whole bunch of yourself. And set up so once you kind of get comfortable with this is the type of information that's out there on me, set up a Google alert for your own name so that if you are being impersonated, right, you know a little bit faster. Like, I don't remember, setting up this website, and I don't remember doing this and that. It's like, oh, no. Then somebody else is doing it. How many people are familiar with, like, a friend of yours on Facebook or Instagram is like, don't click on that. That's not me, right? Okay, so unfortunately, and this is where you all can educate me, I haven't figured out a way to basically do the Facebook equivalent of Googling yourself. So how many Loren Bass are setting up fake profiles on Google or fake profiles on Instagram? I have Google alerts for my own name, but I don't quite know how to basically get there in the social realm. Google catches a lot, including Facebook, but not to the level that I'd like. And by the way, at each of these steps, I gave a kind of a time estimation for how to do them. So you can't say, I don't know, how long is it supposed to take? So, kind of minimum 30 minutes. If you really like what you're learning about yourself, you could just be there for days and weeks, right? Like, oh, I'm on page 80 about, I'm so awesome. Okay, but it's a matter of if you know what's out there, you know kind of what could be relevant about you. Somebody knows that you play on a club hockey team, or that you just shot par, at the golf club. Okay.
How do you set up the Google?
Okay. Google alerts. And I mean, it's honestly like it'll step you through it. It's pretty simple to do it, and I can even show you my alerts.
Is there a place on the Google?
Yeah, I mean, you can just basically. So first, Google your name, and again, I've done it for you. But to kind of understand what is out there about you, and then you can just say, okay, I want to set up an alert for this search. It's really a search term. You're setting up an alert for a specific search term. So it could be you want to know, if Steely Dan's reuniting or whatever. Like that's the search term, but it's just the search term is now your name, variations of your name. So sometimes you use your middle initials, sometimes you don't. You're gonna have two alerts, and get them caught.
So you're just gonna be alerted when someone Googles you?
No, not Googles you. If your information, if your name shows up in a new search result from Google. So let's say that you're put on a blog somewhere or whatever, and Google picks it up, right? It's not going to tell you how many times you've been Googled. It's just going to tell you, oh, you are now on this other website, right? And the reason I'm bringing that up is if you are saying, this is a blog, and I want to tell you all the great things that I'm doing, but it's not you, right? It is that fake person from Cambodia that is pretending to be you. And GoFundMe, right? Like you want a GoFundMe, but not you. It's the fake that set up the GoFundMe, using some of your personal information. Do you follow? What's that? Well, so then, essentially, you keep going down the GoFundMe path. There are venues for a lot of sites like GoFundMe where you can say, "This isn't me. This is a scam. Shut this down." It's really dependent on the website, but you can also do like the fake Facebook profiles. Kind of do blasts like, "This is not me. This is somebody else. Don't give money to this person," right? Because it ain't me. You can give money to me, but don't give money to the fake me that's out there.
But then are you exposing yourself to some degree at all?
No. Probably so.
What if you have a really common name?
You're almost protected in that way. Like if you're Jack Smith, well, especially anyway. Let's pick a different name. John Smith, Bob Smith. It's like, oof, you're now in a sea of other Bob Smiths that, and it basically it gives you a little bit of security by obscurity. They don't know but your name and your picture, right? Oh, that is the Bob that I went to college with. All right, gets a little trickier. Fortunately, there's not alerts that I can tell to search on that combination of I'm Bob Smith and I've got a mustache, in pictures. So that's something that's a void, in my opinion, on searching, if you will. But it is what it is. This should catch a whole bunch. Okay. Step 2, freeze your credit. How many people here have frozen their credit? Almost all the hands. Okay. That's about right, 1 to 1.5 hours. Yeah. What's that? You need to do all 3. There's a couple newer agencies out there. I don't know if you need to do them. I saw them once and then I tried to Google them and I lost them. But anyway, whatever. The big 3 should catch you. Essentially, for those that haven't frozen their credit, it essentially says, I don't need to take another mortgage. I don't need to take another car loan or whatever. Basically, if somebody that says they're me, that says I want to buy this $30,000 Mercedes or whatever, I need $30,000 for this Mercedes or this Cadillac or whatever, that's not you, right? And you can unfreeze, you can give little 1 week, 2 week, if you are going to make a big purchase or need to open up a new line of credit, you can unfreeze it and just say, I want it unfrozen for 2 weeks, because that's how long it's going to take me to apply for this loan.
As little as 15 minutes. When my daughter was getting her mortgage, she told the gal, I've been scammed, I lost all of my money. You've got 15 minutes to pull your loan.
Okay. Yes. And you mentioned your daughter. So an interesting thing is, for those of us in the room that have children, grandchildren, or whatever, is the difficult part is freezing credit for young people that don't have credit yet. Because my daughter turned 18, and I'm like, I'm gonna freeze her credit, And then we start calling these agencies, and they're like, we got no records on you, because she hasn't taken out a student loan yet. She doesn't have she's got a debit card, but that's not building credit. She hasn't applied for a credit card, even like a secure one or whatever. So that's hard. What you may need to do, and this is something that's on our to-do list, is find ways to basically start to establish that credit. It could be a secured credit card. We're going to put $1,500, secured on this, Alaska Airlines Visa, just to kind of get you going. That basically, boom, makes a credit, starts a credit file with each of these agencies that you can then shut down, or freeze, I should say. Janky workaround. I didn't build this world. I'm just trying to find my way through it. But that's the workaround that we seem to have found has worked. Yep.
When you say store your credit, freeze, unfreeze keys in a secure location.
Yeah.
Is a secure location my Mac, passwords that it keeps track of all those?
So I'm going to admit, that's what I do. Essentially, I would say just try not to lose those keys. The secure location is more like the losing, I can't remember what my PIN is for TransUnion. It's just, essentially what you're trying to not do, you're not going for perfection necessarily. The story of the 2 hikers out in the woods and the bears coming after them, and the one person's putting on their tennis shoes, and it's like, I don't need to outrun the bear. I need to outrun you. And this is the horrible part of all this is you want to make yourself less of a target. So if it takes a little bit more to basically get that, for a scammer to get that, passkey, They're going to move on to the next person. They're going to move on to your neighbor that they found on Parcel Map. You know. All right. Step 3, set unique passwords to websites and accounts. I put 1 hour minimum because, by the way, this is all a pain. Again, I don't want to be giving this presentation, and so I don't begrudge anyone and say, 1 more hour to do this or whatever. But it's a world we're living in. So banks and financial accounts are most important. I would say others, like your news sites and that sort of thing, just kind of work them off over time if you aren't already doing this. I would say consider a password manager. Find a manager that alerts you when your passwords have been found in a data breach. It used to be more often that just your pure passwords were caught up in data breaches. Now you basically, more often, it's the encrypted versions, which is a lot safer. And again, it goes back to you're just making it a little bit more difficult for a scammer to get you. But I found that the data breach notifications, because we do use, I kind of use a hybrid between the two, password manager with alerts, and then I'm kind of, for any of you that are scammers in here, just kind of turn your head around for this. But I use kind of a core password template and scheme so that same building blocks, but maybe just a little bit different per website. So if my New York Times account might have NY in it, right? Or it might have the first 2 letters of this bank that I do business with and this credit card, but it's kind of, they're always in the same location so that if I don't have easy access to my password manager, it's like, okay, this is my password scheme and it is, whatever. It is my Alaska Airlines Visa, and so it's going to be AA. That's not exactly what I do, but that's an example of what I do. Okay. Create transaction alerts for credit cards and other accounts. So, how many of you guys have been a good crowd so far, how many of you have done this? Okay, about a third, 25%. Okay, so on all your accounts, your credit cards and all that, essentially you want to know if a transaction over whatever is a size of money that, if you're always going to Vegas and playing the $10,000 craps table, maybe you're going to put something over $10,000 in there. But I would say $1,000 sounds about right. And basically what a lot of scammers will do is they know about these alerts, and so they'll go right underneath, right? And so they might go for $980. That's a win, okay? So instead of just a $1,000 alert, put a $950 one, right? What's that? $1. I would ignore.
I'm not using my credit cards 15 times a day, so I don't get 1,000 text messages. But my wife goes and buys something. I know basically the minute she swipes it somewhere, exactly where she is and what she bought.
Okay.
Like I get a text just that fast.
Okay.
$1.
You may want something between what Gary does and $1,000, or I should say $950. I don't know. You can talk to Gary if you like to get alerts all the time, or if you want to keep track of your spouse. Again, whatever. I'll have Gary do a different presentation next week at the library. But anyway, you get the point. I'm not going to belabor it. And then a lot of your credit cards and accounts have that as an alert option now. It's like, okay, I don't travel out of the country very often. If somebody from Italy or Chile makes a transaction with my account, I want to know. Because the sooner you can respond, the better.
Many of them also track gas stations specifically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if your card is used at a gas station, because it's very typical if somebody steals your credit card number to use it as a gas station first. So.
Yep.
So you sign up with the credit card?
Yeah,
So-
log into your bank account, where your credit card is, and those alerts are available there.
Yeah, it's funny. They can be a little hard to find, because when I went through this, I was like, I got to click in this menu and then this sub-menu. But essentially, almost all, every major credit card company has these alerts now. They may not have, almost all of them have the transaction dollar amount alerts. I would say majority have the U.S. location alerts. It sounds like some have gas station and more unique alerts. But basically, so I have an Alaska Airlines Visa. You can log into, that account and set up all these alerts. And then just kind of get in the habit of reviewing your transactions at regular cadences. Whatever cadence feels right for you. Could be, and Sheila, I know you've had issues. How quickly did you catch your theft?
The fraud? No, well,
Yeah.
it was the theft within an hour,
Wow.
but it was too late. It was gone. It was evident. Yeah, it was gone. I mean, you don't have any time. Because once it got the numbers, that's all they need.
Yep.
This one was for a gift card.
Yep.
And they had it. There was nothing I could do about it. And then they called back and want more. Of course. I didn't do it the second time.
Okay. Okay. So you all touched on this, or some of you touched on this earlier. So this is more of a habit development. Okay, so your bank calls you, your mortgage company calls you, your credit card calls you and says, hey, Sheila, I hope your day is going well. There's been a transaction that's a little funny, but you need to verify something, So almost all the time, if you call politely, and customer service, if you get a difficult customer service person that says, no, this is me, no, this is, Capital One, what, you don't trust me? Essentially, all the customer service teams out there with any financial institution should basically clap, applause if you say, hey, I get it, but I'm going to basically pull out my credit card or get to that account statement that I have. Don't necessarily go to the website either. And Kari's shaking her head, but basically it's the phone number on the back of that credit card is the phone number you should call, okay? Because websites can be spoofed, all that, but not whatever the phone number is here.
Yes, that's how they got my daughter. It was the bank, the number, she even checked the back of her card, and the number that was calling from was exactly.
Yes, because the phone numbers can be spoofed, right? So even if the phone number matches what's here, don't trust it. Basically, you don't have to be nasty because it may be a legitimate call, but you say, look, hey, I'm gonna be safe for both of us, and I'm just gonna call you back. Your extension is 713, or I'm supposed to talk to Jerry. Okay, 5 minutes. Let me call you back. Okay. Yep.
Unfortunately, recent experience, but if you're talking to a drug department, they're going to say, can't cost $5 million direct line to the drug department.
You still have to go through normal customer service and then be transferred over. Yep. But it basically, yep. Yep. Okay.
And my Alaska Airlines card is annoying because they'll, you get through a site and you order something and they'll deny it. And then they'll send you a text. But they have caught several crooked things, so I'm happy to deal with that.
Like I said, it is not a great world we're living in right now regarding this, and a lot of other things too. But yeah, it's a matter of, it's just an annoyance that I think we're just going to have to get used to, unfortunately. So if an email, do the call anyway, right? Basically, because emails can be spoofed way easier than phone numbers can. And so don't reply to the email. Don't click on a link in the email. Get on the phone. You may be waiting, as Eileen said, a little bit, but get that account statement that was mailed to you last month, get that credit card in front of you, and go through it.
We're also getting texts, right?
Yep.
There's texts.
Yes. So yes, pretend, Joanne, pretend that I have, if a text, call. Yes, no. I think Joanne showed up late, maybe not. Maybe she was here for the toll scams. Yes, we've all gotten the good to go scams. Okay. Receive a call or a call email from a trusted friend that involves your finances or could involve your finances. If it seems suspicious, ask for some verifying info. You don't have to be a jerk about it. You can say, "Hey, Joanne, it's so good to hear from you. All right? Sounds like you're in a jam, right? Are you in jail again? You know, and like I know you can. I will post bond for you. Yeah, I will post bond for you. But when's the last time we kind of saw each other in person? Lunch a week ago at Doc's. Okay, I'll get the money to the jail in the bail bondsman in no time, right? Or you could be nicknames. It could be just think of trivia that isn't, doesn't show up on a census form or a birth certificate. But if you got, hey, I got a birthmark. Where, right? I mean, like random stuff. Again, it could be, yes, Gary.
I have a special sentence that each of my kids and my wife have that they only know we don't write it down. So if I need to know if I'm talking to the right person, I can ask for that, and they repeat it to me, and then and you could change that as often as you think you need to if you're being targeted or something. But that works too.
Okay, Gary's going to do another presentation next week. So Tressa, just make sure the room's available, and let's coordinate with Neil, see if he can get the cameras going.
Do we need to go into a skiff for that?
That's right.
All right. Step 7, last. Pick 2 friends, family, neighbors, to go through this, right? Because you get your work cut out for you, because I think there's like 30 people here. We got to do the whole island, all right? But it's a matter of, could be a neighbor, could be your sister or whatever. Say, hey, this guy, was a little janky at times, but did this presentation, went through these steps, and let's get you, that nothing is foolproof, but let's get you more secured so that they move on to the next person, right? Okay. This is just a recap. I can put this, I'll probably put this on the web or whatever. All right. So if you are a victim, so I mentioned that Joe Clark or any BIPD officer is not necessarily going to fly to China and apprehend, whoever's scamming you, but let them know because they are closer to this. They have more experience than I do, and they may not be able to do much setting expectations, right? But it kind of lets them indicate what the latest scam is out there, so that they can put some PSAs out. Report things to the FBI's CISA, and I can't remember if Kari is. You may. Okay.
I'm sorry. Do they still exist?
Yes. Well, that's why. No, that's why I put this asterisk here, and it's unfortunate because we've had some other presentations we've had to do where we've relied on or guidance that we would put out 6 months ago regarding a federal agency or program. We can't vouch that it's going to be what we thought it was or what it was 6 months ago, right? Or if that website will exist, whether that team will exist. So there's an asterisk there. This link did work 5 hours ago. I haven't checked the news since then. Anyway, that's kind of the federal level. And again, I'm going to reiterate, you're the victim. So you may say, I shouldn't have, Let's kind of, we are all human. This is their job, right? You have a weak moment. You didn't get sleep good sleep one night or whatever. You just sort of you were caught on an off day. Just basically power through and say, nope, I've been scammed, and then kind of get to work to basically minimize the damage.
What about the Attorney General?
Yeah, it's a good one. Yep. Version 2 of this slide, I will definitely put that bullet up. Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Page not found. Wait a second. Okay, so I have a page not found at CISA.gov. Well, again, I haven't checked my. No, I think I probably just fat fingered a thing there. My link may be a little off, although, again, he's got some Google kung fu going there, so he can find the right. Tell me what the right URL is if I was a little bit off. I think it still exists. I don't know if everybody heard that.
Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency within the FBI.
Yes. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency within the FBI. I think I got it. Okay, thank you, Kari.
I think the BIPD will also give you a packet of information
Love
that
it.
has that information on it.
Okay, beautiful. All right. Where can you learn more? Okay. How many people here subscribe to The Economist? Subscribe to The Economist? That's a trick question. I already know how many of you do. More of you should. That's a joke. That's a joke. But basically, they did a really good podcast series called Scam Inc. Mostly goes into the pig butchering scams, if you guys are familiar with that, but really kind of exposes the underbelly. Goes into a lot of the workplaces in Cambodia, in Myanmar, to kind of talk about okay, the people that you actually talk to on the phone, they may not want to be there either. They were tricked. They were scammed to work in these in these scam organizations. It's not all of them. Some of them go willingly, but it's a matter of, again, multiple victims here, but easy money. AARP does a really good job at this. Just one sample website, although I think they've been doing a lot of publicity about scams. They have a really good podcast series as well that really touches on, I think on a weekly basis, the different types of scams, and they'll have personal stories about how this one worked, So that's been helpful. And then I mentioned the FBI CISA without the asterisk, but that asterisk goes to every federal entity at this point for the foreseeable future. Okay, so PSA and QSA. So I got to do my little plug here. So we're a 501c3, as I mentioned in the beginning. If you want to support us, either directly or via a lovely brunch, that my board member, Joanne, has been instrumental in planning. We are having a brunch on Saturday, April 26th at Wing Point Country Club. You can learn more at bainbridgerepairs.org/brunch. Love to see you there. I'll just kind of leave it for Q&A and personal stories and all that. Yeah.
So the library is working with Bainbridge Repairs, the fire department in the city and Kobe to put on a presentation once a month on the third Tuesdays for the next year. So come back, Loren.
Woo! Okay, Gary. It's Gary that's going to come back. No, it's
No, variety of topics. Next month, April 15th, wildfire mitigation, CPR.
Is in May.
In May, later on in the year, making your to-go bag, putting together your to-go bag, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the date on the wild trip?
April 15th. Third Tuesday. Tuesday.
And you're in Eventbrite too?
No, this one was a special one, and Trust and I negotiated because I needed volunteers. I needed to know a little bit more about the crowd, but future ones are more likely to be via the KRL registration process. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh, Sheila.
Well, Is it possibility getting the, slides?
No.
Lauren,
Yes, I might have to clean them up a little bit, but yes, my goal is to. Well, part of the reason we're. Yep, yep. I'm going to see. Now it's one of those things where, and Joanne knows how to do this. Sometimes you have to bug me, all right? Because I'm kind of on the. Yeah, Joanne's going to bug me. There's a lot. Yeah, a lot of projects going on, but we're going to see if we can get the slides married to the video. Yes, ma'am.
Could you repeat that into the mic? So, thank you.
Is there a way to make yourself disappear? I mean, this kind of came up with the how do you get your data off from 23andMe, but really, how can you like erase some of your data, or is that not really possible?
It is almost impossible. It's those celebrity photos that Beyonce doesn't want that one rock concert photo out there, and it is. Once something gets out to the internet, it is really hard to fish it back out, right? And again, parcel map, all the stuff that I mentioned, like, is that information. You can't go to the county and say, "Don't list my house." Make this big hole in the county map so that nobody knows where my house is, right? It is just, and you don't need all the puzzle pieces filled. Even if you get rid of 2 of the puzzle pieces, there's 8 others that are easily grabbable, and it is hard. It may be possible. I don't think it is.
A follow-up on that. Is it worth, though, maybe going in and cleaning up or canceling Facebook or going into sites that you've put information and then delete it?
Yeah, so I mentioned, on the barn door slide, I mentioned in most cases, but not all. It's a matter of, I would say, maybe an easier thing to solve is that data that's not your birthday or where you live or whatever, but that more very relevant data out there that's just like, I don't want them to know that I'm taking a vacation. I don't want all my Facebook friends to know that I'm on vacation for the next 2 weeks. Right? And I'm going specifically to Disneyland, because I love, Misty Mountain Run. It's a matter of just being sensitive to what you post more than necessarily cleaning things up. Another question?
Well, just a follow-up with what's happening politically.
Yep. Yes.
Is Bainbridge Prepares taking that into account too as we prepare as a community? I know that's got to be a sensitive topic, but it's still one that's on everybody's mind, and how we deal with that.
So I tell this story to a few people. So 5 years ago, I was at a table in the fire station talking to. We have regular meetings with, our partners, obviously. And I sat around a table with Ann Lesage, I think most of you know Ann, City Emergency Manager, and the fire chief, and Scott James, our founder. And I'm not sure if you all remember what we were going through 5 years ago, maybe a little bit fuzzy. And I basically said, hey, this isn't the earthquake that we were preparing for, but it is the earthquake that we have. And so maybe only 30% of the supplies and the skills would ever apply, but boy, thank God we've got that 30%. At the time our Medical Reserve Corps, for example, was maybe 50 people, and last week it's now 330. For example, that's nurses and doctors and all that. And so in late January, sat around the same table or similar table, different location. And I was like, okay, remember 5 years ago? And I was like, this isn't the earthquake that we were preparing for. I'm like, I keep getting told there's going to be a real earthquake. I'm like, where is it? But it's the earthquake that we have. It's now the political and economic earthquake. And so that's actually what prompted a little bit of this presentation today, is because I see, we talked about the federal stuff. I don't see a cop on the beat at the federal level to deal with this, and we have an older community. elder fraud was already bad. I see it getting a lot worse because of the chaos, because of the lack of enforcement in those places. And so I was like, okay, Tressa, should I do this presentation and start to get the word out? Because whether or not you lose $50,000 to a scam or $50,000 because your house is on fire or whatever, that's still $50,000. And so that's a little bit of the pivot we're taking, and we're figuring that out. But that mentality stands where it's like, ugh. And I wish there was more than 5 years. I could use more than 5 years between crises. I don't know about the rest of you. I'm like, another crisis. Even though we're crisis management, it's like, I don't like job security that much. But it is, trust me, it is top of mind every morning, every night, multiple times during the day.
And just like it was during the pandemic, there may be times where you may not be able to go to the grocery store.
Yes.
So having those 2-week preps or those
Yep.
3-week preps that
Yes.
you have, you may have to deal into it.
Well, and another thing is, another way this I worry, and then I maybe make myself go to sleep, is, it's a matter of utility companies, right? Utility companies, okay? Again, an engineer in Puget Sound Energy, and I'm just, not saying they're going to do this. Puget Sound Energy actually has a very good cybersecurity team, but it can be, they have to be on top of things every day. Somebody again has calls out sick because whatever, and that those defenses go. A utility provider could go down. We may lose power. We may lose pumps at our wastewater treatment plants or whatever. Just the number of scenarios that play out, personal level all the way up to industrial level, is scary. And so a lot of this, a lot of what comes down to things. Well, I'll give you one more story. So I think most of we occasionally get little awards and plaques and that sort of thing. So we actually work really well with the state emergency management, and we consider a lot of their teams friends of ours. They like coming here because it's ferries and and we treat them to lunch a lot. But the tsunami hazard mitigation team, Kari's shaking her head. So they, one of their team members presented with council last Tuesday with Ann. Talk about our tsunami, hazard program. At the end of that, this gentleman named Ethan goes to Ann and says, "I've been furloughed because state budget issues exacerbated by the federal budget issues, and it's a matter of, so I got a job till August, right?" We don't know if that entire team is going to be let go, but that's one aspect of the risk that we have. Another story, I was with a whole bunch of NOAA people yesterday, okay, at a workshop in Renton. And the stories in the swirl of like, well, I currently have a job, and another group that we were with, same workshop, is public health. And they're getting resumes from the CDC. We're like, oh my God, like, look at this guy's experience, right? He asks, why are you applying for this county level job? Job security, right? And so it's a matter of, it is hitting what we do hard. It's hit, I think a lot of the people that, still, work in any industry here have been impacted. I know a lot of personal stories, and it's hard, and there's no way to basically put a positive spin on it. Yeah, I haven't figured it out yet. I'll sleep on it. Okay. Kari's, yep.
So there is a book, I think it was 2012. It's a red cover, but it's
Dictatorship to Democracy. It's very small, but in the back there's 150 things you can do to resist. Some of them, and they're as simple as call your congressperson, to write a postcard, to march. I mean, it was very empowering to read the back of that book.
Yeah, thank you, Kari.
It's Dictatorship to Democracy, and it's Dare Shade, I think that is it.
Okay.
Dictatorship to Democracy. My husband and I own Hazel Creek Montessori.
Oh, yes.
And Ollie's dad was born in Norway, and the Norwegians used to wear paper clips when the Germans occupied Norway as a sign of resistance, as a powerful symbol. And we have started a paperclip resistance movement. My sister in Montana makes hats with the paperclip, but everybody wears a paperclip to show publicly. And I'm meeting with a Pulitzer Prize winner from the New York Times tomorrow evening. She's coming over for dinner.
Wonderful.
And we're going to talk about putting this in the New York Times.
Lovely, lovely. All right, thank you. Any more questions, or I think we're wrapping up?
This is a little bit more simplified. So we have a virus control thing for our computer.
Mm-hmm. Bitdefender antivirus. Mm-hmm.
So when it comes on, when I go on the computer and this little blip comes on and it says, "Do you want to turn on VPN?"
Yeah, okay.
Should I be doing that?
Um,
Why doesn't it automatically come on?
Yeah, so VPN is one of those things where, and Neil's doing eyebrow things, because I bet you he has opinions on VPN. So I have a VPN so virtual private network basically is, it essentially gives your internet traffic a different channel to go through, right? And a lot of times VPNs are used to essentially pretend that channel is coming from another location, another country, another state, or whatever, but gives a little bit of protection as well, okay? So, and I shouldn't put this maybe publicly, but so for example, there's like a Polish show that I occasionally like to watch, right? You can't get it in the US, so I'll VPN as if I'm watching from Warsaw, right? And I'll try to remember my Polish, and I'm like, okay, but I could not get access to that, via a Mitigation. I have to basically go through a VPN and tell the streaming service, like, no, I'm Polish. So now it's a matter of the reasons you wouldn't want to do this is it could slow your internet traffic down a little bit. So you basically like, why is this website loading slowly? It's because, again, you're diverting that flow. You're not in the mainstream or whatever. I would say there's no real harm to it.
It would be a good thing, a protective thing.
Some banks
This is a
won't let
protection.
you.
And Neil, our lovely cameraman who shoddily cloned my voice, says that some banks won't allow VPNs. There's VPN detection services. It's like a Cold War. It's like, okay, a VPN does this, and then a service that doesn't want you to do a VPN kind of does a countermeasure, and then well,
Can't get into a federal government site with a VPN.
there you go. Yeah.
Is it worth using Signal? The Signal?
If you're planning an attack on Yemen, definitely use Signal. Highly recommend it. Yes, get a lot of feedback on your attack plan. So Signal is another good way for more encrypted, more secure messaging. I would say and it's really hard to keep track because every day there's something different. But in November, December, the FBI did kind of big warnings to say, look, if you are an Android phone user and you are text messaging somebody that is using an iPhone, China has access to all that text messaging, right? And this, like the FBI doesn't usually do major blasts like this, but they're like, no, this is really important, right? For the average person, it's like there's so much data that China's like, oh, okay, but it's like they've got it, they've got that data. iPhone to iPhone, there were more secure channels because again, it's just a different technology and stuff like that. It's encrypted, yes. I don't think you should be careful at all. I think you only live once.
We
don't even know that.
Well, I mean, even with this paperclip idea, you know, I go back and forth with my sister. I'm thinking,
I would say, if you're talking about like more resistance, sort of, you know, I would say, be productive with your resistance. Right? It's like and budget your resistance, if you will. Like so, it's like you get up every day and you're like, this bad thing happened or whatever. It may wear you down, but if you basically are like, okay, I'm going to focus on this way of resisting that produces results, even a little bit of results, and you know, again, it's sort of like, you know. I don't know. It's tough guidance to give, but I'm kind of choosing my resistance in my own ways.
There are things to do.
Yeah. Yes.
Saw somebody with a safety pin.
Oh, yeah, the safety
pin.
pin,
You were
yeah.
a safe person to talk to.
well, we just felt like we need a symbol to.
I've got Ukrainian flags I'm about to put on my cars, for example, to where it's like, it's like, okay, that's my, yeah. Yes, drive a Cybertruck and you should be totally fine. So, yeah. All right. Tressa, you calling it? All right.